Shortly after making the New Beginnings video, I had a rough day. As far as I've come and as happy as I typically am, I still have good days and bad days. I was triggered by something personal. As honest, open, and vulnerable as I would like to be in these videos, I have to maintain some levels of discretion with the stories I share here, especially when they are not mine alone to share. What I can say is that I was triggered by a series of events that eventually led to a reminder of one of my own insecurities. Having it blatantly in my face was hard to deal with, and it affected my mental state. But it was undeniably there, and it made me feel like shit. I had a rough night of sleep, and I woke up with literal bags under my eyes. I looked like DW from Arthur. I had plans to work out with a couple of friends, and I ended up hitting the snooze button, and like an asshole, I didn't bother texting them. I had gone to sleep with a long to-do list for the next day, and several errands I needed to run. I also told myself the shitty feeling would go away, and that a good night's sleep would be the remedy. It wasn't. I woke up feeling worse. Keep in mind that this was still subconscious. I woke up feeling down inside, but I wasn't sure why. So I laid in bed mindlessly on my phone. After bailing on the morning workout, I made up excuses for my other errands, saying I didn't need to do the things on my list today. There was always tomorrow. I'm unique in that I don't have the same motivation and drive that most of my friends find their purpose from. A lot of my friends have kids or pets to care for. That same selfless drive that others have doesn't exist for me. I'm single with no children or pets. If I fail, it means that I alone will be eating instant noodles and Hot Pockets, not my children or pets. I don't have the responsibility of caring for another living being. I don't have another mouth to feed. So I used to see the stakes as being lower since it was just for myself. I've asked myself, what is my motivation then? The answer lies within. I have to do things for me because I want to build a certain life for myself. So why do I struggle to be motivated? The answer is honestly really sad. I felt like I didn't deserve it. I didn't love myself enough to be my own motivation. I also realized that I had warped a part of my culture to support my subconscious laziness. The Japanese culture is typically very selfless, where we place the collective good above the individual. Growing up in a Japanese household, it was a habit for there to always be one piece of each dish left. We call that enryo. It translates to show reserve. In terms of food, it literally meant don't be selfish and eat the last piece, in case anyone else wants it. It's better to waste that last piece rather than be selfish. This is a great concept for being selfless in a group environment, but I applied that to a lot of areas in my life subconsciously. For me, having no external reason to push myself towards success, I rejected the idea that I deserved to accomplish my goals. My motivation was strictly for myself, which I subconsciously translated to, I'm being selfish. Don't do that. Enryo. Once I realized this, I was able to calibrate my understanding of this concept and accept that it was okay to be selfish when pursuing my goals within reason. I connected with myself and began to develop self-love, keeping it within reason and not crossing that fine line over to arrogance or narcissism. I realized my own self-worth by acknowledging my strengths. I do this now by vocalizing it when it's relevant. Previously, I would shy away from acknowledging any compliments I received in a bashful way. I was feigning being humble by discrediting my gifts. This lack of acknowledgement took away my power and instead gave me insecurities about my own self-worth. Once I realized this, I was able to acknowledge these strengths and accept compliments. This allowed me to develop a healthy self-love, which then allowed me to become my own motivation for success. I now acknowledge what I'm capable of and that I deserve to create any life I choose to, and that it's selfish in a healthy, positive way. Back to my story, why was I struggling to get out of bed and start my day? Why was there still a lingering feeling of dread inside of me? After all the shadow work I've done, I should be able to snap right out of this and get back to work. After all, I just posted a video talking about how far I've come and how I figured everything out. So let me help you. Several days later, here I am moping in bed without a clue why, and I'm unable to get anything done. As I lay there in my own self-pity, I began to doubt if I could even help anyone else. I mentally spiraled into self-doubt. I finally got up, but I told myself this was a mental health break day, something I will occasionally do when my body is telling me that's what I need. I allow myself to clear my schedule, postpone responsibilities, and just exist. I don't carry any guilt or think, oh, this was an unproductive, lazy day where I accomplished nothing. I know it as a necessary break that allows me to recharge and function on an optimal level. I've found this to be more productive long term instead of half-assing things while being mentally distracted or emotionally distraught. As I went about my mental health break day, consisting of binge watching Netflix and eating snacks on the couch, I got a text from a really close friend. Completely out of the blue, she had no idea what I was going through that day, but she simply asked, "Jeff, are you okay?" I didn't know how to reply. It took me an hour and 16 minutes to reply to her. Keep in mind that this is one of my closest friends, so I'm used to being vulnerable with her, but the question stumped me. So I sat there trying to craft an answer. No, I'm not, but I don't know why. That just wasn't good enough. I had to be able to share more than that. I had to know why. Then it hit me like a big ol' obvious bat in the face. That shitty feeling from yesterday had carried over throughout this whole day. What was subconscious had taken over and become conscious, but it still remained unknown. I never considered it a possibility for something so small and trivial to be able to have such a debilitating impact on me. Not after having learned so much and gotten so far. My ego had taken over and said, no, it has to be something bigger, something deeper that's wrong. Little things don't get to you anymore. The answer was right in front of me, but I was in denial. That denial caused internal turmoil. My conscious mind's ego said nothing is wrong, suck it up and move on. But my subconscious was still attached to yesterday's triggered response. But because it didn't receive acknowledgement, it warped into physical feelings within my body. My conscious ego's denial clashed with my subconscious attachment to the trivial issue from the day before. This realization opened up channels of internal communication that allowed my mind and body to fall back in sync with one another, and I began to feel better. I centered myself and found peace through acknowledgement. I say this pretty often and I try to live by it. We cannot control how we feel, but we can control our actions and our focus. What I mean by that is, I cannot stop myself from feeling shitty after something triggers a past trauma. This will inevitably happen many times in life. But I can control my mind. Not in a forceful way like telling yourself, hey, stop feeling that, but by asking why. Why do I feel that? Why does this bother me? Once you can answer those questions and you acknowledge the source of the emotion, you can let it flow through you. You can release the negative energy rather than harboring it behind a wall of denial, trapping it inside yourself. One lesson I've learned from my life coach, Pearl, is to observe, not absorb. Absorb when you feel down, both emotionally and physically. Watch yourself and ask questions, but do not absorb the issue or negative feelings and let them consume you. When we acknowledge those negative feelings and get to the root of them by asking why, we take away their power over us. This is how we heal traumas, both past and present, by acknowledging them rather than denying their existence. This acceptance is in fact a strength, not a weakness like many of us have been conditioned to believe. We assume that by acknowledging a weakness, it means that we are weak and that it defines us. But that only happens if we allow it to. I am not defined by one bad day that I had. I am not weaker for having flaws or insecurities. I'm simply human. I'm actually stronger and now more aware of it. The next time it happens, I'll catch it sooner because I'll be aware of it. Until one day, it stops happening altogether. One day, I'll reach a point where I can acknowledge it immediately and release it. That will be complete mastery over my emotions. After having this realization, I was finally able to reply to my friend, and I thanked her for placing me back on the right path. But now I had another decision to make. Part of my plans for the day included a scheduled call with my friend from college, who saw my last video and wanted to catch up. But I was reluctant since I was just coming out of my phone. I'm a huge believer in timing is everything, and that everything happens for a reason. The timing worked out, so I said, fuck it. I hopped on that call, and we ended up talking for 2 hours. We shared our journeys and the experiences we've encountered over the last few years. We've been friends since 2007. That's 15 years. But this was the deepest conversation that we've ever had, and it was all thanks to the last video I posted. He reminded me of my own strengths and that my content does hold the power to resonate with people and help them with their own journeys. That conversation inspired me to make this video, which no doubt will have a ripple effect leading to other amazing opportunities and conversations. Sharing that time with him reminded me of my unique drive and motivation to help others through sharing my own experiences and how I overcome my own issues. The moral of my story today is not to let one bad day spoil your whole week. And if possible, don't let that whole day go to waste. You don't know what opportunities you're missing out on by dwelling on negative emotions, thoughts, or circumstances. The sooner you acknowledge and move past an incident, the sooner you can get back to work pursuing your goals. I found my motivation and drive from within myself. I don't need an external reason to pursue my own success anymore. I allow myself to be selfish with my goals. I validate myself without the need for anyone else to understand or see things the way I do. This took some time to understand and apply to my own life, but it's put me back on track to building a fulfilling life for myself. I know that all of you can do this the same way. The next time you're having a bad day, evaluate the situation. Is the day so bad you can no longer focus on important tasks? Are your emotions going haywire and causing you to make irrational decisions? If it is, remember these 4 steps. Have awareness of what's bothering you. Begin to ask questions like, what is causing you to feel this way? Accept that you are bothered or upset. Are you in denial over something? Is there something you need to accept but are fighting? Ask yourself, is there anything I can do about this situation? If the answer is no, then accept that it is what it is, and let the emotions tied to the situation flow through you. If there is something you can do about the situation, then get up and go do the work. Practice self-love. We have to remember to love ourselves, even when there are parts of us that we don't like. Nothing about our personality is permanent, and any aspect of who we are can change as we grow. Acknowledge who you are today to the fullest in order to be a better you tomorrow. If you need to, take a mental health break day. Take that time to sit in solitude and let the emotions surface. Give yourself the time to focus on working through steps 1 through 3. Sometimes that work is simply accepting a part of yourself or your nature. Accepting the current situation doesn't mean that you will be this way forever, but acknowledging the facts in the moment are key to being able to change them for the future. Don't let you stop yourself from happiness. And that's how I deal with a bad day. Food for thought. Right now, more than ever, everyone is addicted to instant gratification and life hacks to a happier life. The reality is that anything more fulfilling takes time and effort. We're willing to invest in devices on Amazon that'll save us 5 minutes in our day, but we're less willing to invest in ourselves, which can stretch our longevity by years. What we consume, both in content and calories, plays a huge part in our physical and mental well-being. I want to make a difference by sharing insightful knowledge into our own psychology. For years, we're force-fed what to think and what is acceptable. I'm here to break us out of that copy-paste mindset so that you can reach your full potential. I need your help spreading this knowledge on YouTube by clicking the thumbs up button, leaving a comment to let me know what you think of the video, and most importantly, subscribing to this channel. This has been another episode of Food for Thought. My motivation, this will inevitably happen